Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Caitlin Schwan. I'm the Director of Research at The Shift, and I also work with the Women's National Housing and Homelessness Network. Today, we are here to talk about the Pan-Canadian Women's Housing and Homelessness Survey. So some very exciting findings that we're going to get into. But to begin, I want to acknowledge our presence on the traditional territory of many Indigenous nations. So I'm located in the area known as Toronto, and I want to acknowledge that this land has been caretaken by the Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat peoples. It is now home to many First Nation, Inuit, and Métis communities, and I want to acknowledge the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. This territory is subject to the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement to peacefully share and care for the Great Lakes region. So thank you so much for being here with us. To give you a little bit of background before we jump into it, I just wanted to mention some context around the survey. So the Women's National Housing and Homelessness Network kind of came together. We identified we really need a kind of national portrait of what women's housing and homelessness need looks like across Canada. We don't have that to the scale and detail that we really need to be thinking about solutions. So that was the purpose of developing this survey, and we really wanted to understand the causes, consequences, and conditions of homelessness that are distinctly gendered, and also think about this through a human rights lens. What are the kind of housing rights and human rights violations that women and gender diverse folks are experiencing across the country? So that was the intent. We were able to, over the winter of 2020, 2021, work with lived experts to both develop the survey and then have 500 women and gender diverse folks from across the country actually do it. It was exciting. We had 500 folks, 12 provinces and territories, over 75 communities participate. So enormous gratitude to all those organizations and agencies that worked with us on that, as well as our funders, CMHC, and our partners, COH, Canadian Observatory on Homelessness, CAEH, CREA, and Keepers of the Circle. So we are very lucky to be able to work with some brilliant minds. For those of you who haven't got a chance to read it, what you can do is just go to womenshomelessness.ca and look at the research and resources page. You'll see a bunch of our work up there, but I'll also drop it in the chat here so you can access it during the session. Researchers who kind of developed this survey and published it, we also did a webinar kind of walking through the findings in more detail. So I'll create a link to that. But what we wanted to do today is kind of different. We wanted to highlight a few findings and have experts from the Women's Network actually comment on what they see as significant about it, how it relates to solution generation, to policy change that we need. So this is kind of more a roundtable conversation with some great leaders and experts in the area about the significance of the survey. So hopefully you enjoy it. Just a quick reminder to put your comments in the Q&A function on the online platform rather than in the Zoom. So those are the questions we'll be taking. Yeah, thank you so much for being here and looking forward to our discussion.